Hey guys, and welcome back to another YouTube video. So now in the last video we discussed about vectors and embeddings. So now in this video we're actually going to go ahead and start creating a simple AI model using Ollama and RAG. So with Ollama, what we're going to do is that we're going to call the Quen model. So we're going to call the Quen model, and we're also going to train it on some of our custom data. So now as you can see here, I have a knowledge.json with some of my custom data. You could add any data you want. So what it's going to do is that we're going to have the Ollama model, right? But on top of it, we're going to train it on some data we want. So go ahead and create your knowledge.json and put all the custom data you want. Right, so now I have my setup.py. So before we get started into creating the AI model, you just want to make sure you have virtual environment and you have Ollama, difflib, and requests and JSON installed, right? So if you have that, we can go ahead and get started. So now in this video, we're actually going to create a very simple model, but in the next video, we're actually going to start creating a very advanced AI model. So this video is actually going to use a very simple RAG system, retrieval augmented generation, a very simple system. And in the next video, we're going to use a more advanced RAG system. So let's actually go ahead and get started. So first, we're going to import JSON because we want to open this knowledge.json. So we have to do that. So next we're going to import difflib and then requests. So we're going to need requests because we're going to send a request to the Ollama model, right? And now we have difflib over here because we're going to use this. So when the user gives us a query, so we're going to compare that query with each question and find the most similar question, right? So if we find the most similarity match, we're going to give the answer for that. So we're going to use that later in the code. So now what we're going to do is that we're going to set our model. So model, right? So we're going to set our model. You can use any AI model that you want, but personally, I'm just going to use this model called Quen, hold on, it was called something like Quen 215B. 5 billion parameters, Quen 2. So you could use any one you want. So now what we're going to do is that we're actually going to go ahead and open this knowledge.json. So what we're going to do is with open knowledge.json, right? So with open knowledge.json, sorry. Oh, there's some. Yeah, there we go. R, and now what we're going to do is encoding will be equal to UTF-8, right? Hold on. And also we have to add this here and as F. So now we're actually going to use this knowledge.json as F. You could, use like any letter that you want, but I'm just going to use F. Okay. So next up, what we're going to do is KB will be equal to json.load F, right? So once we do, okay, we're getting an error here. Okay, saying that this is not closed. Hold on. We need to actually look into this knowledge.json or knowledge. Oh, sorry, we did not close this. And then over here, we do not need that. There we go. So now what we can do is we're done with this. So knowledge base is going to load knowledge.json. Next, we're going to define a function called retrieve. So retrieve, and it's going to have one parameter which will be query. Okay, so now next what we're going to do is questions will be equal to your, and then we're just going to do fx for each question. So now what this function is actually going to do is that it's going to retrieve. So when the user is going to give us a query, so it's going to retrieve it from the knowledge.json and it's going to find the most similar match from our custom data, right? So once we do that, what we can do is we can actually go ahead in here and do 4x in KB. So it's gonna check each question for every question in the knowledge base. So KB stands for the knowledge base, right? So match will be equal to difflib. Difflib get close matches and query dot lower. So what difflib is going to do is that it's going to get the most closest matches for the user's query, and also we're going to keep the user's query in lowercase, so it's going to be easier to find the match over here because all these questions here are lowercase, right? So now next what we're going to do is, along with this, we're going to have the questions, right? The questions, and will be equal to 1, and the cutoff will be equal to 0.5. Right, so once we're done with this, what we can actually do is that if the match, so now we're going to check if the match is similar for any of the items in the knowledge base. So if there is a match for each item in the knowledge base, if the item, here we're gonna do the question. If the item is in the question, the equals to the match, right? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna return the item with the answer. There we go. So now, if we do not have this, what we're gonna do is we're gonna return none. Sorry, this is supposed to be here. There we go. So now we're done with this retrieve function. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna create the input function. So we're gonna create a function called ask with one parameter prompt. So this is just gonna context will be equal to retrieve the prompt. So once the user gives us like a prompt, it's gonna retrieve it from the knowledge base. So now we have the retrieve function over here, right? So now what we can do is if the context, if we have the context, so the prompt will be equal to the f string. Let me use the f string here. Use this knowledge, if relevant. So there we go. I'm just gonna put this like over here. So yeah, so now we have the ask prompt, so it's gonna retrieve the user's query from there. So now it's gonna use the knowledge if relevant, right? So now what we're gonna do is that once we have this done, sorry, we're gonna close that. So now we're gonna have the knowledge in the context. So R will be equal to request.post, and what it's gonna do is that's going to HTTP localhost 11434 API generate, and JSON will be equal to the model. Sorry, this is supposed to be model will be the model, and prompt will be the prompt. Sorry, the prompt. I'll explain this in just a second. And stream will be false. There we go. So now what we're gonna, oh sorry, I forgot to put a colon here. Okay. So what's going on here? So now what we're gonna do is that, so this is why I said you need to have Ollama installed. So once the user gives us a question, first we're gonna retrieve. So first we're gonna check if it's in the knowledge base. Even if it is in the knowledge base, or even if it's not, then what we're gonna do is that we're gonna send it to this link. So now this link is like the API for the Ollama, right? So now this will give us the answer. So now it has some JSON. So now the model will be our model, which we defined up here, which was Quinn. So the prompt will be the user's prompt. So we're going to send the user's prompt along with the model. And now what the stream is, I set the stream to false. Stream is basically like it streams the response, like it just streams it like one word by word. I did not want that. So if you want it, you could set it if you want. So now next, what we're going to do is that return r.json, and we're going to do that response. Okay. Now what we're going to do is over here, we're going to set a while loop for the question answer thing, right? So while true, q will be equal to the input. So this will be the input over here. Sorry, yeah, and that will be the input. Sorry, it's something that I have to set it like this. So the user just asks a question, right? So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna do print ask question. So yeah, that should actually pretty much be it. Let's go ahead and test this out. Setup.py. Okay, so now we could give it a question, say create a program in say Ruby. Alright, it returns none. Alright, it's returning none for everything. So let's go ahead and see what is going on here. Alright guys, so the main problems here was that you're in the model name. What I did was I did Quen21-B, but this was wrong. It was supposed to be point B because Ollama recognizes only this. So the model's correct name is this, the one that Ollama recognizes. And the second problem here was that I only put UTF-8 over here. I didn't put a hyphen. I just left it like that. So I had to put a hyphen here. And yeah, that was pretty much it. And I only did ask question. I forgot to print it. So now here we go. Let's go ahead and test it out. Hi. Let's see what it responds. See, as you can see, now it's working. Now let's try to ask it something from our custom knowledge base. So let me try to ask it who created you. Let's see what it responds. You were created and customized by me. Okay. It's kind of like mixing it up, but you guys get the idea. So now let's tell something like create program in Ruby. Let's see if we can do that. Sure, what you can do, can you tell me right requirements? So as you can see, you guys get the idea, etc. A pretty nice model. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And also, I have the I'll put the GitHub link in the descriptions. So if you guys want to get the entire code from GitHub, so you could just go to GitHub and get the entire code. So yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video where we'll probably build a advanced AI model using advanced RAG system.